I have been an influencer, a finfluencer now for 5 years, started in 2020. And whilst I don't like the title influencer or finfluencer, I do kind of agree that it is an apt description of what I've been doing over the past 5 years. I use video content to influence the way people think about money, interact with products, services, and generally, hopefully, influence people to take more of an interest in investing and their financial well being, right? I can't disagree with that as a description of what I basically do. What I want to talk about in this video, though, is that last week we've seen the regulatory authorities, not just in the UK, but all over the place, take a stance trying to target some of the more unscrupulous individuals who work in this sector of mine, if you will. Okay. Now, I've been really, really transparent on the channel over the past 5 years around how much money I've earned on this channel, how I make money. And for those of you who have been following me long enough, you'll know that in 2020, 2021, I spent a lot of time highlighting scams and things to watch out for, to a lot of negativity and threats to me personally. And then I delved straight into more of the educational stuff in 2021, 2022, 2023. And that's really the purpose of this channel, is to try and inspire through my own story, to educate through my experience and my journey through financial services for the past 18 years, the things that I've learned as an adult and things that I wish that I'd known when I was 18, 19. It's why I created this channel. But even more importantly, to kind of help guide people to making the right decision for themselves and to think a little bit differently, right? That's the whole purpose of what I do here. The unfortunate truth is, though, that within this space here on YouTube and across Instagram and TikTok, talking about financial products, financial services as a finfluencer is actually very, very lucrative. I mean, I've made a really good living, and I do make a good living from my channel and from all of my business ventures and my verticals that are tied into my business. There are people who make a whole lot more money than I do. And that's just the way the things are in this sector that we've created right here. There is a huge focus on financial education right now. And for those of us who are trying to lead the way in this conversation, the rewards are great. And it's no surprise that you're seeing more and more people trying to come into this conversation. Now, I don't want to spend any of this video trying to disparage any particular person, but I do want to make a description of what I feel is inappropriate on the internet right now in this space in influencers. And that isn't to say that if you don't have any experience in financial services or you're going on your own journey and you're sharing your experience, that's the wrong thing for you to do. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, looking at this from a regulatory point of view, for someone who has been in financial services for 18 years, the FCA needs to do more. Now, just last week, they had a bit of a crackdown, and they led a global initiative to try and crack down on this finfluencer phenomena globally. And when I say globally, it's not just in the UK, it's across the world. It's in China, it's in Hong Kong, it's here in Dubai because I've recently moved here, it's in the US, it's in India, it's everywhere. And what seems to be the most common kind of pain point that is being exploited is this idea that everybody wants to be rich and the importance to make more money in order so you can have a comfortable lifestyle. People are hijacking that narrative of being financially sound and financially savvy, being financially secure for their own gain. And whilst the fundamental idea of being financially secure is something that has definitely been driven forward now by Instagram and social media, the importance of it, it's definitely being exploited. There's a saying that comes to mind: the person who makes the most money in a gold rush is the person selling the shovels, and that's what these people are doing. They're selling the shovels. So, with that in mind, the FCA and a load of other regulators around the world have spent time trying to figure out how they're going to crack down, I guess, on finfluencers who work in this space online. And I wouldn't put myself in that category because I believe that I completely and utterly act within the guidelines of what is permitted and what is not permitted. And if you've been following me long enough, you'll know that I've said no to a lot of money because of things that people want me to talk about. And I will share some of my own personal anecdotes through this. But I do just want to share this article with you, which was actually published today. And this is based on what's happened last week with the FCA leading the charge to try and crack down on financial influencers across the world. So it says here in the headline, the UK's FCA leads global crackdown on illegal influencers with arrests and takedown blitz. Now, the UK Financial Conduct Authority has led an international enforcement initiative targeting unlawful financial promotions by social media influencers known as Finfluencers, resulting in arrests, takedowns, and a global regulatory collaboration. A part of the global week of action against unlawful influencers held from the 2nd to the 6th of June 2025, 9 regulators across jurisdictions, including the UK, Australia, Canada, Hong Kong, Italy, and the UAE. And like I said, I'm in the UAE right now, joined forces to disrupt unauthorized and potentially fraudulent investment content promoted online. Now, I think the most important thing to note here is fraudulent investment content. Now, when you think about investment content, what comes to mind specifically? This will be trading, crypto that come to mind. And I think this is where we get into a little bit of like muddy waters, because immediately I can see people in the comments, and please do let me know how you feel about this in the comment section. I don't want this to be a monologue. I want this to be a conversation between the two of us. But I'd love to get your thoughts around whether you think in the way that I'm about to describe. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I know that social media really pushes this narrative of taking charge. Hell, I do. I think now in 2025, you can't afford to sit on your laurels and just wait for things to happen. You have to go out and take action. You have to empower yourself with the right knowledge, the right skill set, because the truth is, nobody is coming to save you, particularly if you're in your 20s right now. No one's coming to save you. There is no help for you. You have to take charge. And I would even argue, particularly if you are male, and especially if you're female, because we've got a gap between men and women in the financial space. But I can see the train of thought from younger people who may be watching this right now and seeing these type of things, saying, well, this is putting a direct blockade in my ability to be able to upskill myself and pursue financial freedom. Because crypto, whilst the government and the FCA currently do not recognize crypto as something that should be regulated, and it needs to be regulated, but as a proper financial asset, I don't think they have done themselves any favor with their own credibility in that vein. And because the world is going towards crypto, I can see the argument already that these guys have lost credibility because they don't operate and they don't recognize crypto. The other thing that I'm going to say is, I think not to the same extent, but to a large extent, the same can be said for things like trading. Trading has become hugely popular over the past, I want to say 3 years specifically that I've been doing this. And people often confuse investing and trading. And if you've attended any of my courses or my workshops or my talks, you'll know that that's one of the things that I try to drive home. There's a clear difference between investing, there's a clear difference between trading. And specifically when they talk about fraudulent investment content promoted online, they are alluding to crypto and they're also alluding to trading. Now, I know that there are many influencers, and again, I'm not going to call out any names here, but people who will sit on YouTube, sit on Instagram, sit on TikTok, and they'll be talking about what they're trading on a day. And the call to action is, well, join my Telegram group, join this group, or do this or do that. Let's be unequivocal about this. That is illegal because they are not authorized to do so. Now, this is where we can talk about the FCA and what their job is. And I know that people don't trust the organization, but through my 18-year career, I've had to work with them because as a financial advisor, and yes, I am a qualified financial advisor, I have given advice on investments and pensions. I've spent a large part of my career working with advisors, financial advisors on cases. And we all had to adhere to very, very strict financial FCA guidelines. Why? Because at the end of the day, if me as a financial advisor gave the wrong advice to a client and they lost money, who's responsible? Me. Why? Because I'm regulated. And this is very, very different when you take a step back and you think about what happens on social media. There are too many videos, too many groups, too many individuals on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, giving all of these tips. And if you act on those tips, which I've always said you never should, right? If you act on those tips and you lose money, like many people have, who's responsible? It's you're responsible, right? But you didn't know any better because you trusted this person. So the FCA is really there to try and bring accountability to this entire thing. Now, financial advisors hate people like me, hate influencers, hate influencers because unfortunately for them, the direction of travel is people will watch YouTube videos and take tips from my channel and the things that I talk about and trust what I say and what I talk about more than they will do the professionals themselves. And to be honest, as a former financial advisor, that scares me. And I've said it a number of times on the channel, which is why I'm always very mindful of the things that I say and the things that I show and the things that I don't show and the things that I don't say, because the reality is this. Let's be completely honest. I can tell you, don't do this, but if I show that I'm doing it, you're going to go do it. And the question then becomes, well, who's accountable then? It's actually my fault if you did something wrong, you lost money. It's actually my fault because you trust me. You think that I am the reliable source of information to help guide you. And as much as I know that that shouldn't be the case, unfortunately, that is the reality. Now, in this article, it says here that in the UK, the FCA made 3 arrests, authorized criminal proceedings against 3 individuals, invited 4 others for interview, sent 7 cease and desist letters, and issued 50 warning alerts. These warnings were expected to result in 650 takedown requests across social media platforms and more than 50 websites operated by unlicensed financial influencers. Now, it also says here from the guy who actually is part of the FCA here, our message to influencers is loud and clear. They must act responsibly and only promote financial products where they are authorized to do so or face consequences. This is the rhetoric. This is what they're trying to do, which I am 100% on board with. Now, for me, this is a disappointing bit. They've only arrested 3 people. They've sent 7 cease and desist letters. They have 50 warnings out. I mean, whoop-de-da. I mean, seriously. When you think about the amount of content that gets uploaded every day, 50 warnings, 7 cease and desist letters. I don't know if anyone's seen, but recently there have been a load of ads on Instagram and Facebook with Stephen Bartlett's name face all over them, and more recently, Gary's Economics, Gary Stevenson. We know that well, I know that it's fake. Hopefully, you know that it's fake. But I reported the Gary Stevenson post literally last week. And what did Meta do? Didn't even take it down. They said that that ad, even though they're impersonating Gary Stevenson, and when you report it, you can say they're impersonating someone, they didn't take it down. Literally a couple of weeks ago, I had another account on Instagram pretend to be me, which followers on Instagram told me immediately. I reported it, and because I said that they were impersonating me, it got took down immediately. What I'm trying to say here is this is a really big problem. There are unscrupulous people out here who are out there to scam you. And over the past few years, I've had a couple of instances myself where, unfortunately, people who follow me on Instagram have been caught. I had a guy who sent someone £5,000 in 2023, around about the time when my book was out, when I was doing quite a bit on TV. £5,000. Why? Because he thought he was talking to me. Now, I know that the natural stance, if you're listening to that and thinking, what an idiot. Who would send someone £5,000? And I jumped on a call with this guy and I said, look, dude, like, I would never ask anyone for any money. It's not my style. I've never done it in all the years that I've been doing it, that I've been here. And it's just not something I would do. And the thing that he told me was, I really believed it was you. Why? Because at the end of the day, and this is still something that I have to get my head around a little bit, being a finfluencer, is that on my YouTube channel right now, I probably have circa 1,000 videos on there, maybe 600 to 800 of them actually public. People who have been watching for a long time feel like they know me. And because of, I guess, some of the things that I've spoken about, people feel a connection with me, particularly when it comes to my story. I used to be homeless, blah, 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 blah. I think a lot of people look for someone that they can relate and resonate with to help inspire their next steps. And really, that's what the purpose of my channel is for. That's why I'm here, is to inspire and influence the way people interact with financial services, financial products, so on and so forth. And he said, look, I just thought it was you. I honestly thought it was you, and I trusted you. And unfortunately, in that instance, he didn't send the money to me. He sent it to some guy, God knows where. And this is what this crackdown is really all about. The biggest thing here is, if you are watching this, is to be very, very cognizant. And if you know anyone, especially younger people who are on social media right now, I just want to really implore you to use your critical thinking. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Now, this is the one thing that I do want to talk about where I'm going to be very specific. There are lots of people online who sit and offer signals, trading groups, so on and so forth. Please be careful. Please be careful, because it's illegal to be offering signals or to be promoting trading if you're not regulated with the relevant qualifications. It's illegal. And the truth is, a lot of these groups, when you join them, they don't care if you make money or lose money. They get paid on your deposits. And look, I'm in Dubai right now, so I'm going to talk you through some of the conversations that I've had over the past 3 to 4 months with people, brands approaching me saying, we're really interested to work with you on your channel. And trust me, the amount of money that is available is freaking eye-watering. It's incredible how much money you can make if you're just willing to turn a blind eye, maybe just encourage people with some hyperbole. Look, I'm in Dubai. I could literally walk outside of our apartment right now. I could drive down the road, go hop in a Lamborghini, and pretend that I bought a Lamborghini now that I'm here in Dubai, and just flaunt that I've made it and I've got an apartment, blah, 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 and be like, join this group and make a shed fucking ton of money off you guys. I'm being fucking honest right now, and I'm swearing because I really want to drive home this point. I could do that like that. And I know for a fact I'd be raking in the money. And I'm talking 50, 60 grand, 100 grand a month. I've been in situations and meetings where people have offered me this type of money in the last 3 to 4 months. If I didn't care about what I do and the impact of what I do, if I didn't care about legacy and what I want to be known and left and leave behind when I'm no longer here, I would take it up. But it's not all about the money. So you have to be discerning. Please, please, please be discerning. Now, the UAE has done something which I think is very, 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 it's brilliant. And this is what I'm hoping that the FCA actually replicates at some stage in the future, because this may not necessarily get rid of everything, but it's definitely going to set a standard for consequences. So the UAE, this past week and a half, has now launched a Finfluencer license. Okay. A Finfluencer license. Now, what is a Finfluencer license? Now, it's going to be issued by the Securities and Commodities Authority out here. So it's the UAE equivalent of the FCA. Okay. And the license is mandatory for anyone sharing investment advice, analysis, or promotions related to regulated financial products or services via social media, blogs, podcasts, webinars, seminars, or in-person events in the UAE. All right. So this is going to be the first license in this part of the world, and the first license of its kind, I think, globally altogether. Now, this is the criteria that they've set for people. And by the way, this is mandatory, right? So if you are in the UAE with at least 1,000 followers and you do one of these three things, you offer recommendations on buying, selling, or holding financial products or virtual assets, you share analysis or forecasts about asset price or performance, or you discuss you promote or discuss financial products or services, this license is mandatory. So me, I've just moved here. Okay. Now, I talk predominantly about the UK. I don't touch UAE investment products, financial services. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm focused on the UK market, UK providers, so on and so forth. Now, from what I understand, technically, I don't actually need this at all, but I'm really, really big on just being transparent and just being above board as much as you possibly can. So I'm actually going to apply for this. And the registration process is really, really simple. And what they've done to incentivize people to get on board with this is they're going to waive all fees. So registration fees and renewal fees for the next 3 years between May 2025 and May 2028. After that, you can have renewal fees and so on and so forth. But this is really setting the gambit. This is setting the gambit that there are going to be parameters that you have to meet, regulations that you have to satisfy, and standards that you have to live up to if you're doing any of those three things that I described a little bit earlier on. And I quite like the way they've categorize these things. So offered recommendations on buying, selling, or holding financial products or virtual assets. Meaning, if you're given any signals, if you've got a group where people are getting information from you to act upon, you need this license. If you're sharing analysis or forecast about asset prices, so if you're doing a breakdown of what's happened on the markets today, a Tesla price prediction, you're going to need this. If you discuss or promote financial platforms or services, you are going to need this. And I hope that the FCA are paying attention to this, because this will professionalize and standardize those of us who are working in this space and those of us who are here trying to do good work. Because those people who aren't probably will not register for something like this. And if they did, you've got a mechanism to hold them accountable. Now, I know that, and again, I don't want to point out any particular names here, but I do want to mention this one other thing as well. I talked about trading being something you need to be mindful of. And I'm going to say this knowing that there'll be people who are going to watch this that may get pissed off with me. And I'm not targeting anyone. I'm saying the same thing that I've said for the past 5 years. There are people who have right now investment courses, investment workshops on offer that people can just sign up to. And these people have no experience working investments. They have no qualifications. They've just tried it themselves and they're telling people what they've basically done. You can't do that. You should have a qualification. This is the other thing that I hope the FCA come up with. You cannot offer investment courses, investment talks, investment workshops if you do not have the qualifications to back it up and the experience to back it up. Because when did investing become so separated and disconnected to professional work, like, I don't know, someone who's an optician? I mean, you would not go to a gynecologist if you needed eye surgery or brain surgery, would you? You just wouldn't. You fucking wouldn't. So why would you take investment courses, investment guidance from someone who does not have the qualifications? And this goes for the accountants who will be watching this with investment courses, telling people how to invest. Again, I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off, and this is going to be hugely unpopular amongst people who perhaps even know me, who are in this space right now. But I'm saying this because we need to be aware of the power that we have as influencers, as finfluencers. People listen. And I know that the intention is good for most of us, but the reality is if you miss something, and I know it's so easy to just put something in ChatGPT, because ChatGPT can create you an investment course right now, but that doesn't mean you know the nuances behind things. And the devil is often in the detail. And so if you're watching this and you do have one of these and you know me, I'm not targeting you, but I'm just saying, look, we really do need to think about this. And we have power, we have influence. Let's be responsible with our power and our influence. And if you're watching this and you're taking these courses, just know that there's likely more to the picture than what you've been learned. And you have to be hungry to acquire more and more information. Yes, there's lots of good stuff out there that can get you started for sure. But as you start, you're still going to go on a journey. So you've got to be prepared for the knowledge intake as you go on that journey. I know that low cost investing has been glorified over the past 5 years, certainly since I've been doing this. And yes, there is a reason for that. But if you've attended any of my workshops, or if you heard me speak, you would have heard me repeatedly say that sometimes the lowest cost option isn't the best, because oftentimes the lowest cost option when it comes to investing means that you've got to do it yourself. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can do yourself more harm than actual good. And sometimes it's worthwhile just paying a provider to do it for you. And there are plenty of providers out there. So you've got to be discerning. You've really, really got to be discerning. But look, in wrapping this up, I really welcome what's happening right now with the FCA and some of the global movements that are happening right now in this regard. I want to see more of it. I do want to see the FCA actually introduce a license of some kind where you have to prove your qualifications and your experience to get that license. I think that will really thin out the herd. I mean, it's definitely going to change the landscape for sure in terms of, the kind of people that are in this space right now, talking about money. And I don't want to thin out the herd so there are less people here. That's not what I'm talking about. I think that there is an opportunity and a voice for everyone to share their own experience and their own knowledge. But I do think there needs to be areas where you are bound not to cross. So if you're an accountant, you shouldn't be talking about investing. Aside from maybe the tax implications of investing, which obviously you're talking about as an accountant, which is pertinent to your job as an accountant. But when it comes to what you invest in and all this kind of stuff, there needs to be demarcation there, in my opinion. And look, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'd love to know what you think of this in the comment section down below. I know that lots of people have done very, very bad experiences with influencers online. I'd love to hear your comments down below. And if you've not already subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm going to talk a little about something related to this tomorrow, which is, I guess, one of the prime reasons why people turn to influencers, unfortunately. But that's coming in the video tomorrow. So see you then. Cheers.